Hello, everybody. I'm Dia Davidson, and welcome to another LEX 18 Digital Conversation. You know, Father's Day is just around the corner, and you can celebrate Dad this weekend or any time of the year with something special from Woodford Reserve. So joining me to talk about what you can find to treat your dad is Woodford Reserve Master Taster, Elizabeth McCall. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You know, this is so exciting, and Father's Day is always, you know, a fun time to celebrate our dads and our husbands and all these good things, but finding the right gift, because, you know, there's the obligatory tie, socks, you know.
And they already have enough of those.
And they already have enough of those.
Yes.
But to give them something that's truly personal is a real treat. So let's talk a little bit about what Woodford Reserve has available that people might consider.
Okay, so we have some exclusive offerings out at the distillery right now. It's part of our distillery series. So currently we have our Blended Rye whiskey that's out. It's a 375 bottle. We have it right here. And they can get that currently at the distillery. So that's a special offering that won't ever be out again, so very rare. And then later, which we're hoping to be out in the store by Father's Day, but check ahead on our website, woodfordreserve.com, but it'll be our toasted rye. And so that's going to be a very special offering. It's our former Master's Collection rye aged in double oak barrels.
Wow, so let's go back and talk a little bit about this blended rye, because for those of us who've lived here in Kentucky for a while, it's still kind of daunting to figure out what you're talking about. So what are we talking about?
So
here?
what are you talking I know. So what is a blended rye?
Exactly.
So this is one that is taking part of a former Master's Collection, so 100% rye, and we're blending that liquid with our 53% rye to give a unique flavor profile that you won't see again. And then we married them together in Woodford Reserve barrels just to kind of solidify that flavor profile. And it has wonderful spice notes, because rye is all about that spice. You think of rye bread versus your sourdough bread. Right. It's got more kick to it, a little more punch. So it's going to have that, but it also has these wonderful apple and poached pear notes. It's just really, really good flavor profile. Interesting and unique.
But now this is really sort of something that you have to kind of work on. It's not just, it just happens overnight. So how do you kind of figure out and sniff it out that that's the right combination?
The right combination. It's a lot of work to sample. You sample the barrels over time and really start to understand how the flavor is developing as it's aging, and wait. And you just have to have a lot of patience. And then we do stuff on the bench top, and you put little portions together and you decide, okay, this is the right blend, and they're at the right age now, and it's just ready to be out there for consumers.
Okay, so now you said the other is going to be toasted?
Toasted.
Okay,
so you think of our double oaked, which has a lot of sweet characteristics, the Woodford Reserve double oaked. Well, we've taken that same concept but applied it to the big, bold spice flavor of our 100% rye. And so it's going to be, you've got spice, but you also have wonderful richness of the barrel too. So it's a great combination, something very unique, never before seen out on the market. So it's a rarity and something that your father would definitely love to have for Father's Day. And definitely better than the old tie.
Tie-in shirt. Okay, so now if I'm going to the store and I'm noticing the traditional bottles of Woodford Reserve, what makes those two different? Better, same, or
they're
just different?
They're different, and they're wonderful in their own way.
Okay.
I like to talk about them like my children, you know, like I don't have kids, but my dogs or whatever.
I gotcha.
But they're all wonderful. So the Distiller Select bourbon, so that's going to be our bourbon recipe. It's 72% corn, 18% rye, and 10% malted barley. Then we have our rye whiskey, which is 53% rye, 33% corn, and 14% malted barley. So the only thing we're changing between the two is the grain recipe. They're both presented at 90.4, but both offer very unique flavor profiles.
Indeed. But now you brought some samples here and a way for, I guess, individuals when they even come out to Woodford Reserve to experience?
Yes, you can do this at the distillery, or you can, you have to do a special tour if you're going to do the full flavor wheel tasting, but whenever you come out, you're always pairing it with chocolate. We always, and every tour ends with a taste of our bourbon and a taste of a bourbon ball. But this is a unique experience. our rye, Woodford Reserve rye flavor wheel.
Okay.
And it's pairing food components with our rye whiskey. And a lot of times people find rye to be intimidating because it is spicy. It's got a little more kick to it than your bourbon does.
Right.
So we can try. I'd love to try this with you. We'll do a few food items.
Okay.
But before we start pairing the food items, we have to taste our Woodford rye whiskey first.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and take a little sip.
All right, and so cheers.
Cheers.
There you go. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll kick you back, won't it?
Got a little more of a kick to
Yeah.
it. And so now we're going to go ahead and we'll try with a little bit of the marzipan. So that's this kind of doughy marzipan. If you're not familiar with it, you can get it at the grocery store in your baking aisle, but it's ground almonds and it's in sugar, so it's a little cherry, sweet, vanilla.
Okay.
Chew that up. I'll take a sip of your Woodford Reserve. Kind of brings out more of the fruitiness. So you start to see more of the cherry note highlighted, and just think of, even now I get more of that vanilla coming through.
Exactly.
It's a little softer.
Exactly, and it kind of mellows the bourbon out.
The sugar in the marzipan is really going to help mellow that note. So it's a good way to pair it and help you to see some of the different flavors. Now let's try the apple. So the apple is going to be really fun because there is a nice apple note in your rye whiskey. Makes it a little drier. You start to see more of the apple peel note coming through. I mean, it's just a very nice pairing to do with that. I love it, and it just kind of just dried it out.
Well, now tell me this: are these all of the different flavors that you find?
Yeah, so these are actually going to be components that you can find when you're tasting, but the way that you train, so my background's in sensory, and the way that you train your palate is by picking up an apple, tasting it, and then immediately tasting your whiskey or nosing your whiskey so that you can start to notice, okay, I've just had that, my brain's thinking about apple, now I'm going to taste and try to draw it out. And it's a way of training so that, of course, now when you're tasting it, you're like, oh, I definitely can see a little bit of apple in the whiskey. But what happens is that next time you sit down, you're going to start looking for it. You're training your brain to go, okay, now I've tasted this. What can I find that apple again? And you're more likely.
How long have you been doing this?
Going on 8 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you get started in something like this?
I find myself to be very lucky that I started out with Brown-Forman in the sensory group, and I was a technician when I began, so I had no idea about sensory and whiskey or any of that, but I was a quality control technician. So I was setting up taste panels, learning about methodical tastings, and then I slowly worked my way up and was in charge of quality control. And so I went to many of our different production facilities around the world. You know, Woodford's a global company now, and so went to the different facilities teaching people how to properly nose and taste our products and look for defects in it, and then worked with the master distiller, and here I am today.
So for little girls who might be wanting to aspire to this, what would they need to kind of academically,
I got my degree in psychology, and the other members of our sensory group are in psychology, and it's because you're using human beings as your instrument. The statistical analysis of what we're testing for is really a huge part of what we do. I mean, you take the glamorous side out of tasting, and then
you get down to the nuts and bolts. Okay. So now we've tried you said this was marzipan. We did the apple. So what's next?
Let's do the mint. Mint's interesting because you're not tasting it, we're just going to nose it. So just go ahead and kind of do that. And then take a good nose of your rye. And you can start to see.
Oh, that is so
because there really are some great mint characteristics in your glass.
And all of a sudden now it smells like the mint.
And you just have to train yourself. I mean, this is what we do on the descriptive panel when we're training and when we're trying to describe many whiskeys. I mean, we look at the whole gamut, and it's literally you have aroma jars and, okay, is that what I'm getting? And you just go back and forth, and that's how you can train yourself.
That was amazing when I did that, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, this smells like mint, but it's really bourbon. Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to try the chocolate? I feel like that's a really good, fun pop of flavor.
Indeed.
And everybody loves to taste chocolate.
And we're doing dark chocolate versus milk
chocolate.
Dark chocolate. Why?
Dark chocolate has a little more spice character to it.
Okay.
Not as sweet, but You can do milk chocolate. You can do all kinds of chocolates, and it's really a fun kind of exercise to see how each plays differently.
Okay. I would never have believed that you can actually taste and really isolate each one of these different flavors.
Yes. Yeah, it's a fun
amazing.
experiment, a
Oh
fun
my
thing to do.
gosh.
I've done it at home with friends when they're over, and I've got little pieces of our flavor wheel at home. Like, here, guys, sit down, taste it. And everybody, if you're not a bourbon lover, it helps you be a part of the conversation and to start to see what people are so excited about. So bourbon, whiskey, whatever you compare it, and it's so much fun.
We can actually get tours, you said, out at Woodford Reserve.
Oh, yes.
So how do we go about doing that?
Yeah, so you can purchase tickets online at woodfordreserve.com, and we have two very exciting events coming up. So we have Father's Day lunch out there on June 18th. I'm jumping a month
I know,
ahead.
we're jumping ahead.
I know, don't do that. But June 18th is coming up, and you can buy your tickets on woodfordreserve.com. And then we also have a fun event coming up on June 24th, where we're partnering with the horse tourism, and you can go visit, or you can tour Ashford Stud, come and get a tour at our distillery, and then we're doing dinner and showing Seabiscuit live out there. So you're going to bring your blankets and just lounge out on our big lawn and watch a movie with a bunch of people. So it'll be a fun day. And again, all of the tickets are available on woodfordreserve.com.
Exactly. And of course, if you want to pick up a bottle or two while you're out there, you can do that. And not just the bourbon, but the specialty, the bourbon balls and all of the other things that you guys do.
We have wonderful Woodford items. We've got clothing, attire. So any of those Father's Day gifts you want to get, you can get them there for your father. And then we have plenty of bourbon, and of course bourbon balls, and we have bourbon barrel foods. So we've got food items that you can bake with that are made from either Woodford Reserve or in our bourbon barrels. So plenty to go around.
Okay, so we've got one more to taste, and that is?
Actually, two more. We've got an almond, and then we have honey.
Oh, honey, okay,
Yeah, honey we'll save for last because that's kind of like the grand finale.
Okay,
all right. So let's take our almond and go ahead and chew that up.
Okay.
Take a sip.
And you taste, it's
brings
very...
the nuttiness out.
Yeah, it's very pronounced.
So there's wonderful, great nutty notes in our glass of Woodford Rye. We've got the almond in there, and then you start to see pecan and cashew coming through, and it's representing all the wood character in our rye whiskey. It's so delicious.
So amazing.
It's so easy to taste. Now we're gonna do the honey.
Okay.
So just grab a nice, you've got your spoon, a little honey on there.
Okay.
Let that coat your palate. Now we take a sip of the rye.
I would never have believed it.
You start to get citrus. You're getting orange notes, a little lemon coming through. I mean, it's just, of course you're getting honey, but it's so
much more,
like, fruitier,
it's
floral, a little floral note. I mean, it's so wonderful. And what I love about that piece of it is that if you wanted to make a cocktail at home, you could do a honey simple syrup instead of just a regular sugar simple syrup. So instead of just doing your white sugar, 50% white sugar, 50% water, do 50% honey and 50% water.
Right.
A nice little simple syrup. You could do that with over rocks, add some water, your little simple syrup in there, and a squeeze of lemon. It'd be delicious.
And then deeply appreciate what you're drinking, because it's so much more than just a drink.
Yep.
Indeed. Elizabeth, this has been so much fun. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Even though we're ladies, we still say Happy Father's Day. And we thank you so much for joining us for this digital conversation. You can find more digital conversations online at lex18.com. I'm Dia Davidson. Until next time.